I say this a lot as far as for myself. I'm not someone that really likes to talk about myself, but what I do like to talk about is, or feel comfortable discussing the topic that is the entire reason for why I want to run for this congressional seat. And it's fighting for regular people. I mean, that's why I got into politics to begin with. I didn't like the idea that it didn't seem that anyone was fighting for people like myself, and so I decided to run for the Maine legislature. In addition to my partner, Lana, the strongest person that I've ever met is my mother. While she was working as a single parent, she taught me the most important thing that you can do is stand up and fight for people. And no matter what the odds were, she taught me that that is probably the best thing that you can do for people. So looking back, that's why I decided at the age of 29 to join with other people in the logging industry and take a stand against some of these corporate interests in Maine that were making it very hard for people like myself and people in my community to make a living. And I think that most people in the state, the best, the thing that they want the most is just a fair shot at trying to provide for their family and do the best they can. And sometimes, they're not allowed to do that. So, the thing that makes me really tick is, in the past session, I was able to support Cain so that people could get low-cost prescription drugs. They wouldn't have to be held hostage by companies like Big Pharma. Those are some of the things, Medicaid expansion, some of the things that really made me want to, run for the legislature and push hard so that, people had an opportunity. And the truth is that in Congress, Republicans have made that a playground for them, and people like Paul LePage. They want to wage a war against progressive values that they know to be needed in this country. And I think a lot longer since Congress has been fully brought to the efforts, the causes for working class people and the middle class by building a better tomorrow. I want to help change the conversation in D.C. by talking about those things each and every day. Governor LePage, doesn't like me much, and he may think that people like me should take myself back to Androscoggin County to cut trees. But I think people like me are needed in Washington. They're needed to build on to build a ladder of success for all Americans. And I won't back down to the Tea Party, because believe me, if Paul LePage doesn't scare me, and trust me, he doesn't, Ted Cruz and John Boehner won't either. I think it's ridiculous that legislators have government-funded health care and have the audacity to stand in the well of the House and Senate and debate who else should have health care in this country, and actually trying to make it nearly impossible for women to access health care, as if our health is a commodity that should be used in negotiations instead of what it is. It's a basic right, and on this issue, I'm someone that won't back down. I think that Medicare and Social Security are a social contract that we made as people, the men and women of this country. And they've worked hard in their lives. They deserve to know that they can retire and spend their golden years without having to worry about those issues. Not something to be gambled away by Wall Street in the name of so-called austerity. And on this issue, I also won't back down. I think it's well past time that working men and women regain and strengthen the right to organize for good paying jobs and safe working conditions, instead of standing by while our wages stagnate and corporate CEOs watch their income skyrocket. And this issue, I won't and haven't back down. We need to send someone to Washington that won't try to raise taxes on heat and oil, expand the sales tax on food, and cut public employees' pensions, while giving even more tax breaks to the wealthy. I think that this type of things for millionaires and doing it and saying that it's compromise is unacceptable. It seems to me that when Democrats are pushing compromise, it always seems to be how much more can we take from the working class and how much more are we willing to give the wealthy. That's not compromise. It's caving in, and that's an issue that I also won't back down on core issues that affect working men and women every day. You can count on me to stand up and stand firm. I have a 12-year track record that from the logger in Eagle Lake to the mill worker in Rumford to the lobsterman in Jonesport to the waitresses right here in Lewiston. They are counting on our next congressperson to stand up and be accounted for them. And for me, on this issue, that's just exactly what I'm going to do. Whether it's Paul LePage or Rand Paul in Washington, when the Republicans try to pull the ladder of success up behind them, I will grab that ladder and make sure that it's held in place for everyone. to climb up and toward their own American dream. And you can guarantee that on this issue, this Democrat is not going to back down. You know, we hear a lot about compromise, and I believe in compromise, you know, all through my heart. But there's core issues. There's things, like I said, that, you know, working wages, health care, Social Security. Those are issues that I will not compromise on. You know, some people call me a radical. They say that I'm too hard on Governor LePage. Well, when he uses his authority to make people feel like they have to break the law, like he did with the unemployment hearing officers, and make them feel that if they don't break the law, they're going to lose their jobs. Well, I'm sorry, I'm not going to stand by and say nothing when people like that, because too often those are the people that made me and you in this room feel like we had to give in and compromise. That's the type of compromise that you're not going to get from me. So I really appreciate the evening. I thank you for allowing me to be here, and I certainly will answer any questions. That's one thing I think that anyone of your elected officials should not ever be afraid to answer any questions from you. Thank you for the evening. I really appreciate it.